I have with me another guest, and Ramanand Sengupta. He's a historian and international affairs expert. And Ramanand Sengupta, let's hear it from you as well. What's your take on the Nalanda University that has been rebuilt, but at the same time, the conservation of the ruins of Nalanda, which tell the world the difficult story of how about, of course, the glory of India, and about the knowledge that had been imparted by the scholars, by the monks, and they were the best of the best across the globe. And the devastation, and because of the tyranny of an invader, of an Afghan invader by the name of Khilji, this destruction happened that brought the Nalanda University, the center of excellence in education, the #1, the most ancient university across the globe, down to ruin.
I would look at it from another perspective, which is that we have all these great libraries, for instance, the one at Alexandria that was also burnt down, and that's, immense loss to humanity. But let's just compare, the Nalanda of yesteryears with the Nalanda that is coming up now. From the perspective of scholarship and, development of knowledge, the period that we had Nalanda was truly the golden era in India. You had really great centers of learning across the country. You had Nalanda, you had Vikramashila, Udantapuri in Bihar, Jagdala and Sompura in Bengal, Pushpagira in Odisha, Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, Nagarjuna Konda in Andhra Pradesh, Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, Mainakheta in Karnataka, Vallabhi in Gujarat, Sharda in Kashmir, and of course Takshila now in Pakistan. That's just some of the universities that were existing at that time. Now, in those days, Nalanda provided free accommodation, free education to all those interested in pursuing knowledge, or, in the true Indian sense, Vidya. So, apart from people from various corners of India, you had students from Tibet, China, Japan, Sri Lanka, Java, Sumatra, Korea, Indonesia, Iran, Turkey, Greece. And the subjects that were taught there included grammar, logic, astronomy, astrology, medicine, mathematics, Vedas, and this included the Vedangas, or the limbs of the Vedas, yoga and darshana, which loosely translates into philosophy. This time, when the PM went to inaugurate the new Nalanda, there were, I think, 17 participating countries. You had Australia, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Brunei, Darussalam, Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Laos, Mauritius, Myanmar, New Zealand, Portugal, Singapore, South Korea, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam.
Yes.
All the ambassadors of these countries were there at Nalanda. It's interesting that, this new campus that they built up is a net zero green campus. So they have 100 acres of water bodies, which are called Kamal Sagar ponds, a huge on-grid solar plant, domestic, and drinking water treatment plant, as well as 100 acres of green cover. And it is also important to note that the university has a 250-seat capacity of a yoga center, an auditorium, an archival. But, if you want to compare the two, of course, the time and the periods are very different. So subjects will definitely be different. So the subjects this time on offer are postgraduate and doctoral programs in Buddhist studies, philosophy, comparative religions, languages and literature, ecology and environmental studies, sustainable development and environment, and international relations and peace studies. And we have students from, I think, about 20 countries enrolled in various courses. So comparatively, if you look at it, it's still very far away from what the original Nalanda used to be.
Right. And talking about the architectural style, and it's a marvel.
Absolutely.
I think the essence of Nalanda, the origin of the name Nalam, which is the lotus, is what Nalanda means essentially, and that I think that has been kept in mind, because you see this beautiful, stupendous building that has been built, the structure that has been built, and it is right in the middle of the water body, the reservoirs that have been built, and there's the forest area, which then signify, it completely. If you translate Nalanda, which is the lotus, right in the middle of the water body.
Yes, that's a big thing to do, of course. But what I was trying to say is that the periods are different. So obviously, you won't have some of the subjects that are taught then. But I think the word Nalanda actually means sort of limitless, so sort of or in another way, it could call boundless magnanimity. It's also interesting to note that anybody who wanted to come there and study could, provided they went through the exam that took place for the thing. You had to be, of course, fluent in Sanskrit, which was very important in those days.
Yeah.
One of the things that people don't really realize that, even Yuan Sang, when he came here, I think in the 7th century or something, he speculated that the Buddha might have been the king of Nalanda in one of his previous births. So, imagine a Chinese scholar coming and talking about Buddha being a king of Nalanda in those days. And then you had Harshavardhan, who was the king of Kankyabhuj, who basically what he did was he reserved, I think, the income from about 100 villages around Nalanda to pay for Nalanda's upkeep.
Yeah. Also, when you talk about, a center of excellence in education for the world, and
Right.
you had the best of the scholars, the monks, the teachers, and
Absolutely.
Their stature was well established, because when you had the likes of Aryabhat, who was a student of Nalanda, you have Nagarjun, you have I have a list of these, Aryadev, who was a disciple of Nagarjun,
right.
Asanga,
Yes.
you have Chandragomnia. So when these names were spoken about, talked about across the globe in various continents and countries, it was a well-established fact that Nalanda was a university to be reckoned with, that people from far and wide
absolutely.
countries used to come. So today, in contrast, how do we build that benchmark? There, that you have the best of the professors and the best of the educators to attract people from across the globe, because the Ivy Leagues, they have that stamp, and you have the presidents and the prime ministers of across the globe, and various Nobel winning laureates who have studied from all these universities. So you have a stamp that, listen, this is our track record. Unfortunately, we have lost that track record of the Nalanda University that was about 1500 years old. How do we rebuild that stature?
You see, that is not going to be an easy thing to do right at this moment, mainly because we must realize that Nalanda didn't acquire its reputation overnight. It took a while for all the scholars to gather there and, put the word out that all these learned people were living there. But just as an aside, one of the things I just remembered is that, when we were talking about the burning of all these manuscripts and all that, by all these invaders who came in and started demolishing centers of learning, a whole bunch of Buddhist monks who used to work there, they took these, whatever they could in terms of, scriptures and things that they made, they took it back to Tibet. But unfortunately, the Chinese came, and when Chinese invaded Tibet, they attacked and they also burned down whatever these guys had taken there.
Yes.
So it was sort of a double whammy. And it's a very sad state of affairs when you attack knowledge as such. So one of the things we must ensure that all these things that are taught and all the things that still remain from the ancient Nalanda era are either digitized or kept in a way that they cannot be sort of, burnt down by any random hooligan who comes down and decides to sort of, take it off. That's very important, because otherwise that whole chunk of history just gone.
Yeah, it is. It is unfortunate.
You were talking about reviving the educational sort of, excellence that the Ivy League colleges and all these Cambridges and Oxfords and all these states have. That, unfortunately, is going to take a while. It's not going to happen overnight. Just like, as I said, Nalanda itself took some time but it can be done, provided, of course, we agree on what exactly you want to impart. It cannot be a free-for-all for everybody. It has to have certain focus subject. Right now, it's mostly, what I would call the art stream. And it's important that, okay, if that's what you want to focus on, let it be that. But you must get the best in the world to do that.